Coming up on Inside the Summit League, the longest home unbeaten streak in the country in men's soccer belongs to a Summit League squad. Denver keeps on rolling. We will tag along with the Pioneers on their recent trip to New York City, a guided tour from Denver goalkeeper Dan Jackson. And rocking some locks and knocking off some socks in cross country with Joel Reichow of the Jackrabbits. Welcome to Inside the Summit League, and first up, a quick salute to the Commissioner. This month marks the 10th anniversary for Tom Duple as the commish of the Summit League, from his track star days at Louisiana State in the mid-1970s to the main man now at the Summit League home office in suburban Chicago. He's got 38 years of athletic administration excellence in between. In 10 years, Duple has led the charge to rename and rebrand the Summit League. He has overseen the addition of 7 new Summit League members, and on behalf of everybody at Midco Sports Network, thank you, Commissioner, for your cooperation and your hard work and your inspiration.
You set your goals, and you have that little goal, and you put it on your flag, and you put that flag on top of the mountain, and every day you just take those steps going up that mountain. And it's not strewn with flowers, and it's not a great roadway. There's a lot of hurdles and folks throwing rocks at you as you're going up through the mountain, but you got to stay steady at it. You know what you see up on top of that mountain? Once you're there, you see a higher mountain with new goals.
Ain't no mountain high enough, people. Keep climbing. Words to live by. In all sincerity, though, thank you, Tom, and congratulations on 10 years as the Summit League Commissioner. Let's get to the week that was in volleyball. Oral Roberts is off to a 4-0 start in league play. They sweep the Player of the Week honors. Laura Milosh on offense, a sophomore from Croatia, had 45 kills in 2 wins for the Golden Eagles. She is the Summit League leader in kills per set right now, and she is 5th in the nation in that category with just over 5 kills per set. Jovana Poljasevich is the Defensive Player of the Week, a Summit League season-high 9 blocks and a win over Fort Wayne. She had 6 more against Iupu. And here is everybody else in action in the second week of the regular season in volleyball. Start in Indiana, and Iupu hosting Fort Wayne last week, and this one was over fairly quickly. Goes 3 sets. Caitlin Hickey doing what she does for Iupu, rising up. And then back on the outside to Hickey again. Why not? She leads everybody with 14 kills in the match. Summer Johnson coming up in the middle for Fort Wayne. She had 7 kills, but the Dons only hit .067 in the match. And the Jaguars, meanwhile, hit it .404. They win 25-12, 25-19, and 25-12. In Fargo on Friday, North Dakota State hosting the University of South Dakota. And the Coyotes come out and win the first set. Kelsey Biltoff with the hammer for USD. But the Bison turn it around and they win the next 3 sets. Jenny Fassbender, 18 kills in the match. Bison win the second set 25-21. 6'1" junior Emily Minnick for North Dakota State, 14 kills. Bison win the third set 25-20. Sophomore setter Brianna Rasmussen had 40 assists for the Bison, and North Dakota State wins the fourth set 25-23. And then North Dakota State hosting Omaha on Saturday. Jenny Fassbender picking up where she left off on Friday. Doesn't hit a great percentage in this match, but she does finish with 21 kills. For Omaha, however, Amy Taylor on the attack. 11 kills for the Mavericks. And they split the first 4 sets. Go to the 5th set. And Omaha with a big block late in that set. And then another kill coming up by Amy Taylor. And Omaha wins 3-2. And the Mavericks are off to a 3-0 start in Summit League play. Another 5-set match in Macomb on Friday. Western Illinois and Fort Wayne. And a couple of nice digs early in this rally. Morgan Bullock for Western Illinois. And then Olivia Hahn for Fort Wayne. Hahn had 23 digs in the match. Peyton Crosser finally ends this long volley with a block. And the Leathernecks win the first set 26-24. Crosser again bringing the lumber. She finishes with 11 kills in the match for Western Illinois, and they combined for 314 total attacks on the net in this match. Nicole Reitnauer with 14 kills for Fort Wayne. Summer Johnson leads Fort Wayne with 16 kills and a beauty of a block. Fort Wayne wins in 5 sets. Western Illinois has a tough weekend with 2 losses at home.
I think that we just need to take advantage of being at home. It's been a long road, being on the road for over a month, and being able to take advantage of being here and being on our home floor, having our fans here. Those are things that we need to enjoy. And
meanwhile, Oral Roberts enjoying a 4-0 start in Summit League play. The Eagles beat IUPUI on Friday. IUPUI wins set 1. Oral Roberts comes back to win the next 3. Power kill by Yavana Poljasevic to finish off the second set. She had 12 kills on the day. Laura Milos leads everybody with 25 kills in this match, and Lucia Bojaniak dishes out 46 assists for the Golden Eagles. Oral Roberts over IUPUI 3-1 in this one, and Oral Roberts would beat IPFW 3-0 on Sunday. Up next, men's soccer. IUPUI earns a tie with Denver, but the Pioneers still have one of the longest home unbeaten streaks in NCAA history.
Inside the Summit League on Midco Sports Network is presented by Grand Falls Casino and Golf Resort, Dakota Land Honda, and South Dakota Corn. Inside the Summit League on Midco Sports Network is presented by Sanford Orthopedics and Sports Medicine and the Sioux Falls Convention and Visitors Bureau.
Now to men's soccer, and Denver is holding steady this week in the national rankings. The Pioneers slip a spot to number 9. They were number 8, but still top 10 in the country for Denver. Oral Roberts, though, is the only team that is 2-0 in the league right now, and Omaha stays in title contention with a win over Fort Wayne. IPFW was at Omaha on Saturday to get things started. The Omaha keeper this year is a sophomore from Florida. His name is Joseph Gittes, and he was outstanding in this match against the Mastodons. IPFW with a free kick. Austin West drills it, and Gittes punches that over the crossbar. Match stays scoreless early in the first half. At the other end, Mavericks working it into the box, and the referee rules that the Fort Wayne defender undercut Omaha's Mark Moulton here. So, Moulton on the dot, and he has money on the shot. 5th goal of the year for Moulton. He's from Omaha's Creighton Prep High School, and the Mavericks lead 1-0 at halftime. Second half now, got to be the Dew. Fazlo Ali Hajic making his move, knocks that in. 2nd of the season for Fazlo, and the Mavs add a 3rd goal as well. Omaha is now 6-0 at home, and the Mavericks win this one 3-0. In Tulsa on Saturday, Western Illinois visiting Oral Roberts, and the Golden Eagles bang it away early. Look at Matt Rogers. Long distance header in the 33rd minute, 5th of the season for Rogers, and he ties it 1-1 at the half. Second half, Western Illinois had a 2-1 lead, but Eduardo Mira swimming, using the swim move to get around a defender there, knocks that home, ties the match at 2 apiece, and they would go to double overtime. Oral Roberts wins it. Celebration and partial nudity ensue, and the Golden Eagles are now 2-0 in Summit League play.
I think the 2-0 it's important, and the Summit League's a tough conference. It's hard to win on the road. We've still got Denver and Nebraska, Omaha, who are having great years. So I think being 2-0 is one thing, but I think we've got to get refocused. It's a year ago. I think it was the game that separated teams that won a conference championship and teams that got left out of the conference tournament.
That's right. You only get 6 league games, so you got to win when you can. This was not a Summit League game, however. Denver at home against Gonzaga on Monday night. Denver trying to keep alive the longest home unbeaten streak in the nation, and pick things up in the 6th minute. Alex Underwood plays it ahead to Andrei Shinyashiki, and a bit of a misplay by the Zag. Shinyashiki makes him pay, puts that home, and Denver's got a 1-0 lead. Gonzaga coming back with the answer a little bit later on. Jake Kempf with a shot, but Denver's keeper Dan Jackson punches it away, goes off his teammate, straight up in the air again, and able to punch that away again with the help of Courtney Ford, and Denver hangs on to a 1-0 lead. Second half now, Gonzaga with a free kick, and they do get this one in. Barely gets touched and ends up in the net, ties it up at 1-1. But less than 5 minutes later, Denver on the attack again. Karsten Hanlon, great ball through to Frank Carsoni, and Carsoni is taken down. Denver with a penalty kick. Eric Cronenberg will do the honors, so that is the game winner. Pioneers take it 2-1, and they have now won or tied in their last 25 matches at home.
I think it's great, to be able to play a high pressing tempo type system at home here at Cyber. The field's big, the grass is great. Our ground screw guys do an unbelievable job. So to be able to play our brand of football, results in wins for us.
Great streak going on there, and Denver is unbeaten but not untied in that stretch of games. IUPUI played Denver to a 1-1 draw on Friday, and Eduardo Cortez is the league defensive player of the week. He had 9 saves in that match for the Jaguars. He has 9 player of the week awards now in his career. That is the most ever by a Summit League player. Matthew Rogers of Oral Roberts is the OPOW. The junior from Mexico City had that goal and an assist in the double overtime win against Western Illinois. Women's soccer coming up next. Nobody finds the back of the net like Lauren Miller at North Dakota State. 2 more tallies for her over the weekend as the Bison rumble to the top of the standings.
Inside the Summit League on Midco Sports Network is presented by Grand Falls Casino and Golf Resort, Dakota Land Honda, and South Dakota Corn. Inside the Summit League on Midco Sports Network is presented by Sanford Orthopedics and Sports Medicine and the Sioux Falls Convention and Visitors Bureau.
Welcome back now to women's soccer. North Dakota State, South Dakota State, and Fort Wayne all off to good starts after the first weekend of Summit League play. IPFW gets a win and a tie over the weekend. The win comes on Friday against Western Illinois. Kylie Dunning in net for the Mastodons, 10 saves on 10 shots on goal. Rachel Good with a goal for Fort Wayne in the 64th minute, and IPFW beats Western 1-0. IPFW would get a 2-2 tie with IUPUI on Sunday. South Dakota State wins its only match of the weekend at home against Omaha on Sunday. Madison Ewell and the Jackrabbit defenders keeping it clean out in front, just 1 shot on goal for the Mavericks. And there's no score either way until the 82nd minute. Nicole Hatcher, Deacon defenders banging one through. SDSU wins 1-0 on the late goal by Hatcher. And North Dakota State with 2 1-0 wins Friday against Omaha. Lauren Miller with the winner midway through the second half. And then on Sunday against Oral Roberts, Miller again. Sierra Bonham gets back-to-back shutouts in net, and the Bison are 2-0 in the league. Well, we have co-offensive players of the week this week in women's soccer. Rachel Good of Fort Wayne is one of them, the game winner against Western Illinois, and the tying goal late in a 2-2 tie with IUPUI. Lauren Miller at North Dakota State earns honors for the 6th time in her career. She had the game winner in both of those Bison wins over the weekend. Miller leads the league with 9 goals and 22 points right now. And North Dakota State's Sierra Bonham, the defensive player of the week, the Canadian keeper, gets the shutouts in those 1-0 wins with 10 saves total for Bonham. Cross country coming up next. Joel Reichel and the Jackrabbits take the title at the SDSU Classic, and we will hear from South Dakota State's star after this.
Inside the Summit League on Midco Sports Network is presented by Grand Falls Casino and Golf Resort, Dakota Land Honda, and South Dakota Corn. Inside the Summit League on Midco Sports Network is presented by Sanford Orthopedics and Sports Medicine and the Sioux Falls Convention and Visitors Bureau.
Well, South Dakota State will host the Summit League Cross Country Championships this year. They are coming up on October 31st, and the Jackrabbits hosted their only home meet of the season on Saturday with the SDSU Classic at Edgebrook Golf Course, just south of Brookings. In the women's race, South Dakota's Amber Eichhorn and Katie Wetstein set the pace from the start. They jump out front, and never look back. North Dakota State runners Brittany Brownotter and Taylor Jansen will go on and finish 3rd and 4th. South Dakota State had a pack of runners all hanging together. 7 Jackrabbits in the top 12 in the standings, all within 27 seconds of each other. But Eichhorn wins the meet, a time of 17:24.7 for the 5,000 meters, with Wettstein right behind her in a time of 17:30.6. On the men's side, 5 SDSU Jackrabbits in the front pack early on, and they would all finish in the top 10, but one Jackrabbit separated himself from the pack, and we should do this in slow motion with some Baywatch music playing with that hair, but this is Joel Reichow, and the flow does not slow him down. The junior from White Bear Lake, Minnesota, wins the 8,000 meter race, a time of 25:26.4, and the Jacks beat North Dakota State, North Dakota, and South Dakota in the team competition.
It looked like we did really good. I looked back after I finished and I saw 6 guys there, so it's a good sign.
Well, I think we had a kind of predetermined race plan that we were going to try to run together as a group, at least for 3 miles. Did a good job of that. Joel, Trevor Capra kind of surged to the front, Trent Lusignan obviously. Trent dropped back trying to keep Brennan Sage up with the group as much as possible. And I think that was a very unselfish move by Trent. Joel looked good up front, and largely we did what we wanted to do, kind of get through the meet, win the meet, and then move on to another week. And I think we're excited for training next week and then the prospects of running at the Wisconsin Adidas Invitational.
Well, by the way, I've not seen that kind of flow on the head of Joel Reichow since Queen guitarist Brian May was rocking it back in the 1970s, and they are both glorious. We are the champions, baby. And Reichow not only gets the Troy Polamalu Award of the Week for that hair, he is the Co-Summit League Athlete of the Week, first time this season and 3rd time in his career. He shares it with Damon Pruitt at IUPUI because Pruitt went out and ran the fastest 8,000 meter time in the league so far this fall. He goes 24:25.8 at the Notre Dame Invitational, finishing 33rd out of 169 runners. And Amber Eichhorn of South Dakota is the women's winner this week. Senior earns the honor for the 4th time. She is very well known for her indoor track accomplishments. She is the record holder at USD in the 3,000 meters, and her cross-country time on Saturday, by the way, a personal best for Amber Eichhorn. Well, when we come back from the Brooklyn Bridge to Central Park, we will tag along on a tour of New York with the men's soccer team from Denver.
Inside the Summit League on Midco Sports Network is presented by Grand Falls Casino and Golf Resort, Dakota Land Honda, and South Dakota Corn. Inside the Summit League on Midco Sports Network is presented by Sanford Orthopedics and Sports Medicine and the Sioux Falls Convention and Visitors Bureau.
Welcome back. Summit League basketball teams have officially started practice, and Oral Roberts is one of 9 squads getting on the floor over the weekend. The Golden Eagles are expected to be league contenders on the men's side this season. ORU will play its blue and white scrimmage on Saturday, October 24th, and then start the regular season on November 13th at home against Missouri State. One other basketball note, if you have seen a Summit League men's game, you have probably seen Mike Sanzier. He has been named the Naismith Men's College Official of the Year by the Atlanta Tip-Off Club. The award recognizes officials who display character, integrity, and dignity and have contributed to the growth and success of college basketball, and that is Mike Sanzier. And finally this week, in the campus spotlight, the Denver men's soccer team took a trip last month to New York City to play a game against the University of St. John's, or St. John's University. Denver senior Dan Jackson took a GoPro camera and a selfie stick, and here is what he brought back.
My whole thought process on the recording everything and all the moments that we had in New York was because in my undergrad, there were so many moments and memories that I have in my head, and I just never got to document them. So I knew here I didn't want to regret anything and forget about anything, and I wanted to be a big role in helping the younger guys experience that. So I decided to bring my GoPro, make a little video just for the memory, and it turned out to be pretty successful. couple years, and I'm sure the freshmen too, when they get to become seniors, that they'll love that type of video, and I hope that someone else kind of takes that role and will do that as well.